Hello students and welcome back to my channel. This is the Community Nutrition series of videos, and today we're going to continue by taking a look at the practical applications of community nutrition. So expect to learn about the food and occupational health, the nutrition and physical activity, as well as the collective catering. Hi, I'm Tommy. I'm a human nutrition student and researcher at the university. What I do in these type of videos is to synthesize my classes so then I can explain and teach you the best and most valuable information you need to know. So let's begin this video by taking a look at food and occupational health. So, eating at work is associated with high sodium and high fat intakes, especially saturated fat intake. In the workplace, care must be taken depending on the type of job. In physical work and nutrition, skipping breakfast is very common, and then this is associated with illness, poor mood, and a compensation. And when talking about hypocaloric diet, it's very similar to skipping breakfast. The types of work we have are light, moderate, hard, and intense, depending on our job, on our work. And in all of those, we can calculate the basal metabolic rate using the Harris-Benedict equation. So having breakfast has metabolic and neurohormonal changes. It's associated with cognitive performance, and it triggers insulin and glycogen creation because of glucose. The ideal breakfast composition should be low glycemic index carbohydrates, moderate protein, fats, and fiber. The consequence of skipping breakfast is mid-morning hunger and then compensate using unhealthy foods. And the optimal timing for breakfast is from 60 to 90 minutes after waking up. And then lunch. Lunch is the most significant meal here in Spain. Over 50% of the daily intake occurs at lunchtime. The consequences of overeating at lunch, though, are drowsiness and heaviness, of course. And the World Health Organization recommends 40 to 50 minutes to dedicate for lunch. Unfortunately, this is something that not everyone is able to do nowadays. What are the workplace health programs then? Physical well-being programs such as walking groups, access to gyms, and healthy food. That would be very good. Stress management programs as well, together with mental health promotion, for example. Promotion of physical activity, so using the stairs over the lifts, and walking standing up or walking. The injury prevention programs, such as the proper ways of moving chairs around and having to do with the environment, and education on healthy habits, so reducing drugs such as tobacco and alcohol, and improving sleep, of course. And you have to know that the World Health Organization has a priority for health promotion in the workplace. It's very interesting, this topic. It's very current nowadays. There is an implementation of interventions and dissemination of information through various means. And there are challenges in implementing programs due to the time off work requirements. Because if you are implementing these programs, you're not working. And they must be done during work time though, not at home. So as you can see, there is a little controversy here. And the nutritional intervention program in the workplace. So we need the support from company's management and the needs analysis for the program. The phases are the planning workplace health programs and the program design itself. So here we need the company and workers committee support, as well as the work involvement for the support and popularity of these programs. We have to request a specific budget, remember from the previous video. There are also needs analysis involving qualitative and quantitative data. So data collection, questionnaires, seminars, opinions, and preferences. The analysis of dietary intake and anthropometry using the ABCD. And the consideration of the company's resources for support. So the promotion of a healthy company concept. And then we have the program design. So understanding the target group characteristics, defining the program objectives and contents, and considering nutritional needs and dietary guidelines. So taking into account special dietary habits such as vegan, halal. Also, the alcoholics and the drug addicts are included in this. And the steps are, the first one, screening and health examination. So identify risk factors and raise awareness among the workers. Here we have to provide results and use administrative questionnaires to prevent diseases. We can treat a disease in an early stage if we diagnose it early enough. Number two is education. So to provide information through classes, seminars, and conferences. We have to consider a personalized attention and scheduling around work hours to improve the attendance. A written and graphic information, so the use of inexpensive methods such as radio, social media, television, and educational games to provide practical advice. This is very important. And also the company cafeteria. So they need to offer healthy, varied, and easily digestible options. So to limit alcohol, fried and fatty food, and the heavy foods, and instead promote the use of olive oil and other healthy foods. Proper training and preparation of the cafeteria staff is also important, including negotiation with the catering company if applicable. This is essential. If we do all the rest without targeting the cafeteria, then it's nonsense. They're still going to eat unhealthy food because it's what they have available. So highlighting recommended options and ensuring well-presented dishes can encourage healthier choices. Of course, if you have a well-presented menu with healthy options, then it's more likely you're going to choose one of those. Here we have to aim for maximum participation. We have to raise the awareness among workers before the menu changes and provide regular reminders so they are prepared when the changes are applied. And we have to evaluate the implementation process, the staff behavior, and even the results we obtain. This is a program, and a community nutrition program always needs reevaluation. Special groups would include the long-haul truck drivers. They often rely on fast food, so this is a special group because of that. Emergency service and night shift workers. They have circadian rhythm disruptions, which can interfere with the satiety hormones. Long-term seafarers. They are at risk of scurvy due to the limited access to fresh food. Then the fast food restaurant workers. They may consume unhealthy food because they are on site. And the astronauts as well. They face limited food options. And then we have nutrition and physical activity. So the introduction. Physical activity is a reducer of chronic diseases. And the benefits are increased muscle, circulation, and cardiac output, as well as higher oxygen exchange and conservation of bone mass. Many are unaware of the positive effects, such as weight loss, relaxation, and stress relief. So it's very interesting. And more than 1/3 of the population spends most of the day sitting. The physical activity is any body movement that increases the caloric expenditure. The physical fitness is the condition of general health and fitness. This has to do with strength, endurance, flexibility, and body composition. And the physical exercise is a planned movement to improve or maintain components of the fitness. What are the health effects of physical activity? Well, on energy balance, the balance between nutrition, daily activities, and metabolic functions. It can be positive, negative, or neutral. And if you increase the activity, well, you're going to go in a negative balance and you're going to lose weight. And fats here have a lower satiety than other macros, and higher activity will lead to a higher tolerance to dietary fat. Micronutrients, so higher requirements in athletes, and higher turnover and excretion rate. And high energy intakes are associated with a little bit lower nutritional density. Insulin resistance, related to metabolic syndrome. Dietary change together with 150 minutes of aerobic exercise per week will improve the symptomatology. And talking about lipoproteins, there is a positive impact of physical activity on triglycerides, lipoproteins, and cholesterol. So it will increase the HDL and lower the triglycerides. Talking about diseases, high blood pressure. The exercise will indeed lower the incidence. If there is a high and very high cardiovascular risk, skill sports only. Moderate cardiovascular risk, competitive sports with no strenuous exertion though. And in low cardiovascular risk, any type of competitive sport, with precaution of course. Ischemic heart disease, there are undeniable benefits and should be recommended to everyone. The physical activity is important to get a cardiovascular screening beforehand, and the active lifestyle has a significant reduction in coronary artery events. Bone density, so physical exercise and vitamin D will increase the bone health and lower the fractures. Loading and pressure exercises for bones have greater positive effects. No impact, lower bone density. This is an example of the cyclists. Cancer, so positive effect of exercise on both prevention and survival of cancer. Obesity will indeed increase the risk factor of development and recurrence of the cancer. Higher aerobic exercise, lower cancer. Higher exercise, lower chemotherapy. So regarding dose and frequency. And here we have to try vigorous and physical activity without overdoing it though. And for mental health, so it improves mental health, well-being, and quality of life. Inactivity indeed has a lower life expectancy, and physical activity is correlated with mastery and hope for the future. And taking a look at life stages, in school age and adolescence, there is no linear continuity, so a lot of active children become sedentary adults and vice versa. And in older age, sedentary lifestyles have a negative impact. There is a lower physical activity, a lower calorie intake, and therefore lower nutrients, and a nutritional deficiency can occur. And physical activity can be an opportunity for socialization, more friends, getting out of the house, and having a good time in company. Here we have to administer food education and health promotion talks. And exercise is also correlated with a greater balance, and therefore a lower risk of falling. Physical exercise and health promotion. Physical inactivity can be harmful as smoking nowadays, and it's recommended to do aerobic exercise for 30 minutes at 65% of the maximum heart rate. The proper exercise is the moderate intensity one and should move large muscle groups. And in children, the physical activity should be at least 60 minutes a day, moderate or vigorous. And it's a basic pillar and should be incorporated into daily life. The physiology of physical exercise. The fuels for exercise we have are glucose, fatty acids, ATP, phosphocreatine, anaerobic glycolysis, and glycogen. And the energy sources are fatty acids for the moderate intensity and carbohydrates and glycogen for the higher effort ones. The aerobic exercise uses large muscles and increases the oxygen consumption by a lot. There is an accumulation of pyruvate and a very high ATP creation, and it's limited by substrate availability. The anaerobic exercise is high intensity, short intervals, and is focused on strength, power, and size of muscles. It's used for osteoporosis prevention, and it accumulates lactic acid that is correlated with fatigue. The optimal health benefits. The combination of both aerobic and anaerobic exercises. The nutritional needs during exercise: 10 to 15% of proteins, 25 to 35% of fats, and 55 to 60% of carbs. Macronutrients: the energy, the athletes have higher energy requirements. We can calculate those using the METs, the metabolic equivalents of task, and the VO2 max, which is the cardiorespiratory endurance, and it is correlated with the ATP resynthesis. To replenish the energy, we need more food intake. And the energy expenditure, duration, and intensity depends on the specific sport. And here we also have to say that individual nutritional recommendations are always better. Protein, it depends on the exercise, intensity and density, and the carbohydrate content. Normal protein is not enough, so we have to go for 1.2 to 2 grams per kilogram per day of protein, and progressively increasing it together with the water consumption. Fat as fuel for low to moderate activity. There is a metabolic adaptation to it, and the fat limit in the diet must be 35%. It has a slow gastric emptying, and we have to avoid the processed foods with hidden fat. Carbohydrates, muscular glycogen as a primary energy source. We have to limit the sugars and look for low glycemic index carbohydrates. And the overload is done using a depletion, so we get rid of all the glycogen. Then we use a high-fat, low-carb diet for a few days, and then there is a glycogen reloading with a carbohydrate overload. And this is done indeed to synthesize a lot more glycogen than normal. And micronutrients, vitamins and minerals. Vitamins are associated with physical performance, and there is an increased need for vitamins in intense physical activity. Because, for example, the B group vitamins are called the metabolic vitamins. Vitamin deficiencies are uncommon due to the high energy intake they have in sport, and the iron deficiency has a deterioration in performance together with a lactate production. And this creates indeed the anemia, which is very common in female athletes because of the amenorrhea, and it has to do with a reduced bone mineral content. We don't have to confuse it though with the athlete's anemia, which is different. So we have to provide vitamins and minerals. There is a lot of importance of the adequate intake of them, and if we don't get it from the diet, we have to supplement it. This is because they counteract the oxidative processes of physical exercise. And then water, fluid and electrolyte replenishment. Hydration is used for thermoregulation, ion exchange, and the water loss during physical activity is very important and will indeed lower our performance. There is a disruption of thirst mechanism, and because of that we need a regular water consumption plan. There is also a mineral loss due to intense sweating, and therefore we have to replenish them with some key foods. And the caffeine, the performance enhancement and mobilization of fatty acids, glycogen reserves are preserved, and there is a lower fatigue perception. And excessive caffeine is considered to be a doping agent. And then last but not least, we have collective catering. So recently there was an incorporation of women in this section. And here we have to differentiate between commercial purpose, such as bars and restaurants, social purpose, such as schools and hospital cafeterias, and the mixed or contractual purpose, which is the food preparation, cooking services, meal distribution, and technical assistance. Social catering, it focuses on nutritional adequacy, presentation, good organoleptic properties, avoiding monotony, and ensuring food safety. It's a service for groups without choice. Service at clients' facilities. Respect agreements, social price, and adjust to dietary needs. Staff training, raw material control, conservation control, preparation through technical sheets, and the HACCP food safety systems. This is to make sure that every stage of the food chain is controlled for food safety. It's a basic menu with specific diets and defined work protocols. The creation of specific diets. Number 1. Diet request. In writing, clear and concise, based on pathology or dietary preferences. Number 2. Diet design. So menu adapted to each request, starting from the basic diet. Number 3. Dish preparation. Using technical sheets, prepared according to the dietitian's indications, avoiding cross-contamination, very important for the allergens. And number 4. Distribution and service. Table service, line service, and takeaway service. Technical sheet is the recipe preparation document. It has the contents, the dish name, the ingredients and quantity, and the nutritional assessment, and additional details such as the course type, the bread type, the beverage, the cooking technique, and observation. It's aimed at institutional settings, schools, universities, hospitals, nursing homes, army, and even prisons. The objective of collective catering as a social commitment are to provide high-quality service and food, ensure food safety and self-control, guaranteeing labor rights and prevent exploitation, promoting healthy, balanced eating and nutritional education, encouraging sustainability, including agroecological production, and maintaining the good reputation of the sector. The nutritionist's role here is designing, preparing menus and diets, consulting, managing, directing, and supervising. That's why we need dietitians and nutritionists qualified for food service to vulnerable groups. And here we have to mention the vending machines in Spain, because there's one machine for every 80 inhabitants, whereas the European average is one for every 180. So here there is a debate on including healthy foods in vending machines, because the ones that are available right now, they're not very healthy. So let's take a look at the types of collective catering. The school cafeterias. This is a vulnerable student population. Here we have to promote health as a complementary education. The main objective is to provide sufficient, adequate, nutritious, varied, and safe food. Therefore, we have the school menu, which can be either a single dish or a two-dish model, with basic requirements, planning, and menu composition. Special needs, including allergies, religious dietary restrictions, obesity, diabetes, and physical behavioral difficulties. And the school cafeteria service organizations have to do with the school council. They have a dynamic functioning and they must provide pleasant food and space for activities and workshops. In school menus, we also take in account the sustainability, the food safety, the universal access, the supervision, evaluation, and even monitoring of the whole menu and food. And the university cafeterias, they often abuse fried foods, and there is nowadays a healthy university initiative to promote the use of local products. Moving on, we have collective catering for the elderly. This is a difficult group because there is a lot of difficulty in changing opinions. There is a resistance to change, they are often polymedicated, they have mental problems, religious beliefs, and rigid habits. There is a difficulty in acquiring new eating habits, and it's very challenging correcting diet deficiencies. Then hospital cafeterias. The objectives are meeting the patient's nutritional needs, including a complementary therapeutic effect with the diet, providing culinary comfort to the patient, and addressing nutritional education with the patient and their family. There are several therapeutic diets. They are even coded, depending on the hospital. And the clinical nutrition and dietetic unit staff are needed in hospitals. These are dietists and nutritionists. Modifying hospital vending machine with more sustainable and healthy foods is also something we have to take in account. Because again, here in Spain, there are a lot of vending machines. Then food in prisons. So there we have an internal kitchen and furnishings that are adapted to the prison population. Here we need extreme caution, for example, with knives. Here we have a low budget for the 3 meals a day. And they also include adapted menus for traditions, religions, and even pathologies. But there is a limited research on the topic though. And other collective catering may include the camp kitchen for children's excursions, the blood donors for after the donation, the food banks for the zero waste products, and the armed forces with their individual combat rations. Okay, this is it for this video. I hope you understood everything I said. If you didn't, there is a comment section down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications so you get notified every time I upload a new video. If you find value in this, please share it with your friends and family to spread this knowledge to them as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you learned something new today with me. I will see you in the next one. Hope you enjoyed. Ciao!